Xtra 1063 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 1063 FM or download the Xtra 1063 app.
Talking Los until 10, we are joined by Dr. Rich McCormick. He represents Georgia's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Dr. McCormick, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. So many things to dive into. There's obviously a lot of discussion about vaccines and the CDC, and we're going to get to some of that stuff because I want to get your valuable insight on it. But moving 10 F-35s down to Puerto Rico seems like a big deal to me. When I see that, I remember when they were moving some assets into the Persian Gulf and adding a second aircraft carrier, the Persian Gulf. That came, a few months before we blew up the nuclear facilities in Iran. We've already seen a little bit of an escalation down off the coast of Venezuela with blowing up the narco drug boat. And when I was in the Navy, we did drug ops down there aboard USS South Carolina. But this seems like a big deal to me. Is there something that folks listening right now should know? People in the state of Georgia should know about the movement that we've just seen.
Well, know that we're at war with the cartels. The gloves are off. They've been basically not punished for their actions. But that it's not the ultimate solution either, because as we ramp this up, we are funding a war against ourselves. We're the ones that pay for the drug cartels. America's funding is like Europe paying for Russia to invade Ukraine. It's the same thing. We're fighting a war against narcotics traffickers that we're funding. Now, let me just tell you the way that we're going to solve this in reality. We can destroy their bad guys. We can kill bad guys. Somebody else will take their spot, because when billions upon billions of dollars are at stake, somebody's going to step in this place and say, I want that easy money. Now, it's a dangerous life, but somebody's going to step up. And it's just you can cut off one head, two more are going to they're going to fight for that next position, and you're going to have to consolidate. Anybody who's seen the movie, the series Narcos, understands how this works. If you really want to get rid of this, think about how we solved the smoking problem in high schools. We tried to teach kids that cancer would kill them. They didn't believe it. We tried to teach kids that they'll overdose and die. 100,000 kids died a year from drug overdose. They didn't believe. We couldn't convince them that they're mortal, that they're going to be hurt. But if you teach kids that by buying cigarettes, you're supporting companies that are giving your grandparents cancer and making massive profit off it, they stop buying it. It ceased to be cool. If you teach kids from the time they're little kids that when you buy drugs, you're supporting rapists, murderers, people who overthrow governments, people who would slit your brother's throat for a dime, it will no longer be cool. It will no longer be about getting high. It will be about supporting evil people. When you get rid of the demand, you'll get rid of the problem. But until we get rid of the demand, we can fight all day long against these bad guys and feel good about what we do by killing bad people. It doesn't solve the problem.
Dr. Richard McCormick is our guest on the Morning Extra, and maybe that is the opportunity with Gen Z. My wife has done studies on them at a corporate level, and they are very cognizant of what's going on in the world. And just as you're saying, when you paint the situation into an area where you say, why are you supporting bad people? Here's what they're doing to your family members. Here's what they're doing to your country. They tend to respond to that more so than don't do this or else you'll die.
And that's exactly why we have a problem with the COVID vaccination. If you say you have to get this, I'm like, no, I don't. I'm an American. Right. I got freedom. But if you teach people, it may be good for you, it may be bad, let's have an educated conversation, then there's no longer resistance. It doesn't become politicized. It actually becomes a scientific discussion. Imagine that. Forcing people to do things or telling them they can't do things is not the way to get things done. Educating people, having a conversation about what's good for them, about what's good for society. Most people are moral people. They start to justify their immorality because of however they approach it. But if you literally, and nobody can dispute, you buy drugs, you are supporting murderers. You are supporting child traffickers, human traffickers, people who are feasting off of entire cultures at the expense of their government and prosperity. Shame on you. And once they realize that, it comes to an agreement that I don't want to support evil, they'll stop purchasing, and the cartels will go away.
Do you feel like Gen Z is the first generation to start getting that? Because we're seeing Gen Z drink less, smoke less, Their church attendance is up by 3 times. I think they're the most church. Their generation attends church more than any other. Do you think Gen Z is starting to see that picture because they're trending in a positive direction in every other aspect of their life?
They're also libertarians. It's first generation we have that are truly libertarians. In other words, government, stay out of my private business, stay out of my pocket, let me achieve what I can achieve. They're actually they're almost the opposite of the millennials. It'll be interesting to see this next generation fight each other as you got one extreme versus the other. One believes that the government is the answer. The other one believes the government is the problem. It's going to be an interesting debate going into the future, but I think if you look historically, this country's been based off of limited government, and I hope that will continue because I believe in you a whole lot more than I believe in government, and I think that's the debate we're having right now.
Dr. Richard McCormick is our guest on the Morning Extra. Tug and I were locked in on watching Robert F. Kennedy Jr. yesterday and seeing, the senators grill him in the way that they were. And I think the important part for me was he kept sharing data. And so, to me, I think that was the most important part when he was basically stating, I don't want to recommend something that we don't have data backing it up. What was your take on that as a doctor, seeing, basically what he's been doing when it comes to HHS?
Yeah, so first of all, realize Mark Twain said best, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. I've seen data on both sides misused, and I think Mr. Kennedy is very well read. He's read some of the same books I've read. Some of those books are maybe a little bit on the fringe, but he's at least studying. He's at least trying to have an educated conversation rather than a political one, which I like. He wants to be scientifically based. And on a side note, by the way, a little self-serving, the Bobby and Hegseth challenge, the fitness challenge, I'm going to crush everybody on.
Let's go.
Love it.
Right now. But coming from me, Mark Wayne Mullen has the best time. I'm going to crush you, Mark. I'm going to crush you by a minute, I promise you.
We talked about him this morning on the show, too, Dr. McCormick. He's awesome. I love that guy.
Friend of mine.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Great friend of mine. We in the same morning workout program for a while, and I'm going to crush him, and I'm going to rub his nose in it because he challenged me amongst his staff, so here we go. But when you get back to Kennedy, though, I say he's not a doctor. I get it. He's not a healthcare professional. I get it. But he has the ideology that we don't go off of political conversation. We have realistic conversations. And best of all, he wants to empower people to make decisions for themselves that are informed. Instead of the government saying, oh, you have to get a vaccination, saying, here's the benefits, here's the possible detriments. You make your decision with you and your doctor.
Yeah, just give me the data.
And
Yeah.
I just heard an advertisement on the radio the other day on TV where they're saying, hey, look, this is punishing kids that, kids are going to get sick. Well, yeah, kids who don't get vaccinations can get sick, but they're acting like they're going to make other people sick. If you're vaccinated and you think it works, obviously it's not going to make you sick, so stop with that kind of talk. They did the same thing with COVID. If you don't do it, you're going to kill me. Wait, I thought you were protected. Either your vaccination works or not. Stop talking like that. Let's not have double logic.
Yeah, just speaking out of both sides of your mouth. Buddy Carter, one of your colleagues, has been on the show a few times, and he said something that stood out to me and Carlos, and I want to see if you get the same reaction. He said, because you brought up doing the morning workout and doing that routine and doing the challenge. Do you see that Democrats, because Buddy said this, Congressman Carter said this, he said, you'd be surprised how many people during morning workouts when I'm in the gym, actually we agree on so many things, and then by the end of the day when they're on TV, they're probably saying something a little bit different than what they just told me during the morning workout. Do you run into that too? Do you see that people come together more often, and then when they get in front of the cameras, they say something completely different?
And I will say this too: you actually learn, because sometimes your talking points are wrong. This is why I don't do talking points. First of all, they bore me, and having an authentic, scientifically based conversation about what's good for America is what's most important to me. But but quite frankly, it's not a good winning line when you're in the Democrat Party to say I agree with Republicans. You're not going to get a Republican out of office by agreeing with them. They're trying to win elections. That's their goal. So of course they're not going to agree with you on most things. They will agree on some things publicly, and actually that's why we've passed so much legislation. I think we're ranked 12th out of 435 for legislation passed, because I got a million ideas. The question is, what can I actually pass? And a lot of times I need buy-in from Democrats, which means I have to pick things that maybe aren't my favorite, but things that can actually get done. Because it's one thing to message, it's another thing to actually get something passed. That's hard to do.
Dr. Richard McCormick is our guest on the Morning Extra. How weird is it in D.C. right now where even when you find yourself on an 80-20, a 90-10 issue, for instance, public safety, you have the Democrats arguing on behalf of criminals? I have to imagine that if I was a Democrat, not saying that I would ever consider doing it, but if I ever was, I would basically be taking good ideas coming from Republicans or Donald Trump and saying, let me build on these good ideas rather than arguing on the 10 or 20% side.
For the first time in a long time, you're actually having Democrats dissent because they realize how their party has been hijacked by not just socialists, by legitimately Marxist/communist people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, who believe the government is the answer to the very problems that government created, by the way. That is a losing argument, this extremism, where you can take somebody and mutilate them as a child and call that science, as if it has any scientific basis, as if pediatricians ever even said that was lit. In fact, pediatricians used to be openly against that until Biden made it almost painful, like you have your license threatened if you said anything that was common sense. We lost all common sense, and you could be punished by the government for dissenting by media, by Facebook, by X, well, what used to be Twitter. That stuff was all exposed by Jim Jordan. When you say, we're not getting any done, you're not getting any scalps. Yeah, we're having a hard time getting scalps, but we are exposing. That has changed media. It has changed our information flow. And thank God that the Democrats keep on picking all the wrong fights, because if they came across as moderates, they'd actually have a chance of winning. But until they decide that they're going to actually come back to the center, remember Obama and Clinton were actually very good on the border. Nobody thinks it's a good idea. Most smart human beings don't believe that an open border is good for American society. It's not, for multiple reasons. Not to mention there's tons of child trafficking and rape on the way up, tons of drugs that harm our community, tons of all kinds of reasons. But as long as they keep on picking these horrible fights, they're going to have a really hard time, no matter what we do, winning any elections.
I don't know that they're going to go back to the center, and we brought this up on the show earlier. Bill de Blasio, former mayor of New York City, said, we need to sound more like Mamdani to win elections. So that tells me, that signals to me that they're embracing that leftist movement. They're embracing, they don't run from socialism and communism anymore. They're basically saying that's what we need to be.
And meanwhile, you got Generation Z doing what?
Becoming more libertarian.
Becoming libertarian, going away from government all the way around. Matter of fact, even against some very conservative Republicans who believe, now ironically, church is a very important part of our symbol, but it doesn't mean that you force any religious beliefs on me.
No, of course.
But that also means you don't restrict my religious beliefs. And here's the cool thing about this Generation Z. They get it. They want to have opportunity. And unfortunately, because of the way we set ourselves up in our education system, we have some big disadvantages, but we fought back. I mean, it doesn't take a South Park episode to teach you that things are changing in the schools now, and that we actually have some advantage we didn't have before, because COVID exposed all those horrible things going on, and actually parents are getting involved. They're actually changing the curriculum. We're getting back to education. We have a long ways to go on this, by the way. We can reform education to help America into the future generations. It is a great equalizer. It will help poverty and minorities and black community in Georgia, which is 31% of the population, are starting to finally wake up and say, I've been lied. I've been lied to. The government's not the solution. They've been getting in my way. So they want me to rely on the government so that I'll vote for them without ever getting out of the ghetto. Shame on them. And now they get it, and now you're seeing a massive migration in politics, and I love it.
Congressman Dr. Richard McCormick is our guest. I will tell you, we got a chance to speak with our management and our ownership. And as it stands right now, Dr. Rich, we're not sure what UFC fight that Tug and I are going to, but we want to make sure that you're there, because we're going to do Radio Row. We're going to have all the guests that are going to go ahead and come on. It's obviously it's a hotbed for people talking about what's going on in the country, get a chance to talk with fighters and everything else. So at some point we got to coordinate there to where wherever you're at, we want to be there and make sure we get a chance to interview you while we're there.
Man, this is universal. MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world. It's exciting. It's kind of what we all used to love about heavyweight boxers. It's like you're the baddest man on the planet. Now you get to find out who the baddest woman and the man are. It is come so far and is so popular. And it's kind of one of the secrets for Trump, too, by the way, to be friends with Dana White, to actually be on WWE. It makes you mainstream. And all of a sudden, all these people that used to hate him are like, you know what, this guy's kind of with me. He likes the same things I like. It humanizes you. It's kind of like when Obama was doing, fantasy football and stuff like that. You're one of us. I kind of like this dude. He gets it. And MMA is a phenomenal, cool sport.
No kidding, man. It is like nothing that most people have ever seen, and I piggyback on what you're saying, Dr. McCormick, because when all the fighters get done after they've won, the first thing they do is the Trump dance or go find him to celebrate with him, and that's cool, man. There's not many people that can walk in there and be singled out by all the fighters after they win. That's a pretty good torch to carry. So we are going to figure out a way to get credentialed for that 4th of July celebration at the White House. I don't know what the process is, but we're going to figure it out. And I think that's going to be our journey for next year, to be up there with y'all and see all that come down at the White House.
I think it's going to be the biggest deal ever. I literally think they're building a ballroom up there with private funds. It is kind of crazy. I like the fact that it kind of makes the people feel like they're involved.
Yes, sir.
And I know some people think that President Trump is like the Happy Gilmore of politics. He's going to do some things most people don't do. He's going to get in a fight with Bob Barker. He's going to throw his club. Somebody's going to yell jackass while you're taking a swing. And he's going to bring out the new people that haven't been involved in politics in a long time. They're going to have their beer hats on and drinking out of straws. I get it. But at least you're seeing people interested in politics in a fun way, and I love it.
Yes, sir. It's going to be great.
It's fun.
Dr. McCormick, thank you so much. Hope you have a great weekend, and look forward to talking to you again soon, sir.
Always a pleasure, brother. Semper Fi.
Yes, sir. Dr.
Yes,
Rich
sir.
McCormick, U.S. Representative for Georgia's 7th District.
The whole idea of, I've got the helmet on with the beer